Hi, Shidoshi Miller from Warrior Concepts here in Sunbury, Pennsylvania. And we've got our next installment in our online ninja training program. And what we're going to take a look at during this video segment is just a couple of base Kamae, but I want to make sure that this matches up with our basic lessons in walking. Okay, we can't forget that the basic skill, the basics that we're talking about, are things that lie at the foundation of our very movement that allow us to do this next thing. Okay, so in my school we recognize or identify the Kamae from a couple of different perspectives. Okay, the Kamae are at the same time they are positions of safety that allow us to protect ourselves against what's coming in at us, as well as delivering what it is that we need in relative safety against the bad guy, so to speak. Okay? But they're also internal reflective kind of things that fit that Shikyo Shinobu, that internal reflection and recognition of our authentic self. Okay? So they grow out of our intentions to do certain things and also our emotional state. Okay? So one of the definitions I actually got from a native Japanese speaker who was not involved in the martial arts. I always take advantage of those kind of things. So I asked one time what Kamae meant, and the first thing she said to me was, let's see, what Kamae means to me is, which tells me the subjective nature of this whole thing that we're talking about. Okay? So that was the first lesson, that there was no concrete answer, which at my state at that point, I was looking for a very definitive thing. And as my teachers continue to remind me, both in my spiritual training and in my combat training, you know, trying to nail this stuff down with very specific answers is like trying to take a Jello mold and nail it to the walls of decoration and have it stay there. Okay? It doesn't mean that there aren't key things that make things right or wrong. What it means is that we want to be careful that we're not locking ourselves into just the Budo side of things and we're just doing techniques and step-by-step things and we have our style as opposed to other styles, because then what we've just done is taken this amazing martial system, this amazing life mastery system, and reduced it down to just being another martial arts choice among martial arts choices. And this is not the way this was created. Okay? So anyway, let's take a look at this idea of Kamae, okay, being a protective base, a position of safety, and we'll go from there. Okay? So I'm just going to cover a couple of these things, and what I want you to pay particular attention to is not so much the Kamae, which you've probably seen before. It's what I'm doing and how I'm moving around, or how I'm creating a certain perception in the eyes and mind of the attacker, and limiting his options with each of these things. Okay? Again, basic stuff. But let's start with this, okay? So let's borrow just a couple from the Gyokko-ryu, okay? The Gyokko-ryu, one of the 9 lineages here in the Bujinkan and lying at the foundation here of our Warrior Concepts Life Mastery Program. But the 3 Kamae that form the foundation of the Gyokko-ryu's Koshijutsu, or their Koshi Taijutsu, are not 3 separate things. They're 3 forms of the same thing. Sanden Kamae, that's how they're identified. Sanden Kamae, okay? It's 1 in 3, 3 in 1. This concept is really important. Okay? Anytime you get a thing, you need to find 3 aspects of it. And anytime you have 3 things, kind of like an omote gyaku, outer wrist reversal, musha dori, onikudaki, rear hip throw, that kind of thing. These are all doing what we call omote gyaku principle to the person's body. They're not individual techniques, unless that's what we confine our perception to, that's all they are. They're just, there's this technique and there's this technique, and okay. But once we can see that there are a variety of ways to execute or to carry out and use the same principles and concepts against this person, and to create the same results just from different ranges or different positions relative to their body, everything changes. Okay, the gates to mastery open, and we therefore just leave behind this basic conventional idea that we're doing some kind of martial art. Okay? Alright, so let's do this thing. Okay? So what we're going to do is take a look at this idea. Okay? So here's this Ichimonji no Kamae. Okay? Foundational posture. Okay? The kanji, Ichi, is written with a straight line. Okay? But we have to remember that these kanji are like hieroglyphics. Okay? They're painting a picture. The number Ichi is not just the number 1. Okay? It's not that simple. I know that Ichi is 1 and Ni adds a little stroke and all that, but what we're looking at is a picture of the ground. So Ichi also means foundation. Okay? So perhaps Ichimonji itself doesn't mean figure 1 posture as in just a name. Perhaps the name is pointing to what the kanji itself means. Remember what ichimonji, the character ichi, means. Foundation, okay? It's the ground, so it represents ground, foundation, basic, fundamental, it's what the rest of the castle or fortress is built on. And if the foundation is weak, then everything else is just going to fall down, okay? It's just going to not be as great as it possibly could, okay? So here's this thing, right? In this Kamae, what we're looking at doing is positioning ourselves in a way that we can execute our circular kind of movement of this orbiting that Gyokko-ryu has in its principles. So it's eliciting a straight line attack, okay? But the next Kamae, okay, is this Jumonji no Kamae, right? This Kamae of the vow, okay? The vow to protect ourselves against evil. Okay? So whatever this person throws at me, okay, I can easily protect, I can easily defend myself against. Okay? I'm ready for it. I'm creating 4 equilateral triangles with my shielding here. It's low, it's not this way, it's not this way. Later on in the advanced levels, we can modify this so we can start to open certain perceptual windows and give them the illusion that they can actually come in on certain directions or not. So we'll lift or lower. The trick is to make sure that you can do a basic Kamae so that you're in control of all the quote-unquote open windows so that, you know, that little birdie known as his fist, foot, or whatever doesn't come flying in a place that you're not controlling. Okay, so here's this thing. Okay, but watch this. It's exactly the same. 1, this is going to stay exactly where it is. All I'm going to do is make a fist out of it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my foot, my rear leg, and move from an ichimonji position to halfway between ichimonji and shizen. Here, my shoulder walks this base hand forward. I don't have to lift it. Okay? In Jumonji no Kata, okay? In the Kihon, Happo. 1, boom, we move to this. Why? Because we changed range. We went from receiving to observing so we could find an opening before we move back in and start attacking things. Okay? But it's the same thing. 1, 2. Just a different relative position to the attacker. Okay? Let's take a look at the third one. Okay? Hicho no Kamae. Okay? Hicho no Kamae. Again, see how there's no swaying, turning, twisting, bobbing, shifting, or whatever getting into this Kamae because I'm moving the same way I move for walking to put this into position. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over foot. Okay? But I'm also placing my foot, the arch of my foot, on the ball of my calf, on the top of my calf. So I've actually convinced this side of my body, it's standing on something. So there's less of that wavering. If I don't know where to put this, okay, it's in a bad position. I also want to make sure that I don't lose cover. Okay? It's this, where the knee's slightly turned in, so the groin's covered. It's not this where there's a target. It's not this where there's now a target. Okay? Ready for this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sanden Kamae. 1 concept, 1 idea, 3 manifestations of it, 3 forms. Okay? 1 and 3, 3 and 1. Here's an irony. If you've ever been to Japan, you know what I'm talking about, but my students who go with me, I'll take them up on the Togakushi, the modern name of Togakure Mountain, where these 3 shrines are that are kind of dedicated to this, this idea where the Togakure-ryu came out of. And at the middle shrine, there's actually a really large tree. Well, it appears to be a really large tree at the foot of the steps leading up to this shrine. But if you really look close at this thing, what you'll find is that 3 trees growing close together grew together at its base and then later branch off into the individual trees that they are. But they actually grew together. So here's this thing, and it just hit me one time, and I'm probably just making it up with the creative centers of my brain, but here's this reminder at the middle shrine in this area, in this region, where our art came from, okay? That reminds us, 3 in 1. 1 actually has 3 aspects. 3 in 1, 1 in 3. So here it is again, okay? All of these things are eliciting straight-on attacks. See the opening? If I did this, it would change how he'd be coming at me. Okay? Let's take a look at a couple of other ones. Okay? Seigan no Kamae. Okay? Seigan no Kamae. Okay? What's important to understand is that when you're doing these things, you're always in a position where you can clear things. Okay? but I'm not down here, I'm not over here. There are these different variations, but if you look at the basic pieces, these basic forms, what we're doing is we're setting up a situation where it's impossible for him to attack me without going over or under one of my limbs. Okay? And we're always able to move. Okay? Basic walking. Remember that Gyokko-ryu from that lesson, right? Boom. Okay? Watch my base leg. It moves first. Okay? When I step off, I don't step off. I walk off. My foot moves like that rocking chair run. Here. Okay? Moving. Okay? The ability to carry this kamae around. So, the ability to carry this kamae around so it stays there and we don't lose our protective base. Okay? Hira no kamae from the Kukishinoryu, basic hira. Okay? This way. See where the arms are? Not this. That slams the scapula together, pinches them in against the spine. In the same position that we want their scapula moving in a mushadori, onikudaki, that kind of thing. Okay? Not this. Okay? Here. Okay? Koto-ryu, the modification. This way. Okay? See how I'm carrying with the leg. I'm not bringing myself into these kind of positions. Using the legs. Okay? If I can do that, I can step in any direction, I can kick in any direction. Okay? But as we're taking a look at these things, we need to understand that they are foundational lessons, but they're also the core of the lesson. That means that everything else points back at the core. Okay? I used to believe, like most other people, that the kamae, what some people call stances, were the necessary evils. Okay? They were these things that we had to learn to get onto the cool stuff. I've been doing this stuff for over 3 decades. Okay? And what I found is that this is the cool stuff. Because when you're able to control your body and you can move, and you can do your kamae, that kind of thing, it's very, very difficult for somebody to even get at you, let alone have a chance at hurting you. Okay? So again, foundational idea for kamae. Again, this is Shidoshi Miller from Warrior Concepts here in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and I'll see you in the next lesson.